Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is our 99th episode of Boredom Busters, which is crazy. Today is Tuesday, June 30th. This is our last episode for now as we transition into other programs and projects. So do take a look out. Hopefully you've been seeing our kind of teaser stuff going on our social media recently. So today we are on our last day talking about space, and my joke for you today, Miss Ashley, how did the solar system hold up its pants?
I don't know. How?
Using an asteroid belt. So a few activities today as usual and some fun principles. So our free principle today is asteroid arithmetic. So this is a fun one about fractions. I heard from a fellow mom that teaching fractions in the spring was one of the hardest things that they tried to do at home. They had to have a few extra Zoom calls with their teachers to talk about fractions. So this maybe will be a fun way to try to help explain it. So the asteroid breaks into the planet and it goes into multiple pieces, and figure out what the fraction is. So how many pieces do you have and what does that mean? How did it divide out? A song recommendation, Collision on Occasion, the asteroid belt song. Our book is Mickey Moonbeam by Mike Brownlow. And then our video, Comets and Asteroids, all about comets and asteroids. So of course we're going to do some things with asteroids today. On our parent guide, we're going to do a model asteroid, I'll show you that, a solar system scape, and an outer space kids fitness. So there's a link on our website and on the social media posts on our website, lincolnchildrensmuseum.org. Physical activity is the outer space kids fitness. Go put on your fun special space suit, make one out of cardboard, have some fun. Go and get ready to blast off to outer space with this fun video. It's with Go With Yo-Yo. All right, so our model asteroid activity, you can do this a few different ways. So asteroids are leftover rock formations and sometimes ice and sand and dirt and other debris from about 4.6 billion with a B, from the creation of our solar system. So they're floating about, sometimes they run into things. So you can make your own model asteroid. Now models is actually a really important part of the new science standards. Those were released just a couple years ago now, I think 2 or 3 years. And it's all about comparing our real world to a model. So we like to say our main floor here at the museum is a model of a town, of a community. We have a grocery store, we have the post office box, we have a music store, all those things that you would see as you're driving around Lincoln. So that's a model of Lincoln when you're on our main floor. So models, a smaller version of what you might see in the real world. So we can do a model asteroid today. A few ways you can do this. We of course have some modeling clay. I didn't want to open any packages though, and we also have so this one is the type of clay that you would bake after you make it. There's also air dry clay that comes in a really big container, so you've got a lot of kids at home, or you're going to do a bunch of different versions, that works. Otherwise it does air out and dry out over time. So again, I didn't want to dry out a whole package for this Boredom Buster today. You can also use Play-Doh, which you might already have at home. If you don't have Play-Doh, you can make your own using a simple salt dough recipe. We like to do 1 cup flour, 1/2 cup salt, and 1/2 cup water with some food coloring added in there, and get that all mixed in. It'll last for a couple weeks in an airtight container. If you are gluten-free in your house, of course, regular Play-Doh in that recipe won't work. But you can definitely search the internet, and there are lots of gluten-free, friendly versions of Play-Doh for your household. So we have our Play-Doh here. See if we can get that out. That's always the hardest part, right? There we go. So I have my Play-Doh, and I'm going to just do a model asteroid. So some other items you can add in, because asteroids are not just this one thing. They could be smooth, they could be rough, they could have craters in them. What is a crater? All fun things to talk about. I have some colored rice that I'm going to add in. I also have some different colored and sized beads. If you have small pebbles or sequins or glitter and you want to open that up, lots of fun things you can add into your asteroid. So I think it's fun. You mix it in, kind of talk about it. You know, otherwise you don't really get to mix in all those fun things into your Play-Doh. If you're doing it with the clay, then of course this is all going to dry into it, and as it dries, you can observe it and talk about what's happening with that modeling clay. Mixed in there. I've got some peeking through as I play. There we go. Now another way to increase this activity, if you have markers and a paper, is you can have them do a model of their model. So have them draw the asteroid and talk about it. What do you see? Is it smooth? Is it rough? Depending on how, the Play-Doh is a lot more pliable than the clay is. So depending on how old your kiddos are, they might have more or less of a problem with that. So we've got lots of different fun things kind of poking out there. All right. So that is our model asteroid activity. And again, depending on how old your kids are, we'll go into how much in depth you want to go with that activity. All right, and our final thing here is to do a solar system scape. So because we're talking about asteroids, we'll include the asteroid belt here. So we have it between Mars and Venus. So if you have different colored paints, of course you can just paint different planets and they can be whatever color you want them to be. But if your kids are really into the solar system, maybe you want to look up and use the handy Google and see what color are all of our planets. So I know that Mars is red, I'm going to do that last though. Then I've got Jupiter. Jupiter is kind of a bunch of different beige kind of colors, brown colors. The brown and yellow is kind of the closest I could find. A black construction paper or thicker paper is probably going to be your best bet for this activity so that it is a little more space-like. Let's say this is my Jupiter. It's probably a lot bigger. Jupiter is one of those larger planets. I like the way that the yellow and brown kind of blend together here. We've got different stripes in there. Okay, if your kids are older, how many moons does Jupiter have? How many moons does Earth have? Just one. Some planets have lots and lots. I'm going to do my Mars. Just kind of put a red circle over here. Mars is a little bit smaller. And again, how in depth do you want to go with it? Are you just doing some painting circles, or are you talking about relative distance and size and all those things? Are you going to do a whole solar system or just a couple planets? Maybe your kids have a favorite planet. All right, and then in between here, Jupiter and Mars, we have our asteroid belt. So I have some small pebbles, and I'm just going to glue those on in here. I decided not to get the hot glue set up, but the hot glue would also work really well for this. So as that draws, and then you can have them practice their writing, Mars, asteroid belt, and Jupiter here. If you want to do more, add more things onto it. Maybe you could add some white glitter. They could be kind of like the stars out there. Draw the sun. What is the sun? Well, it's a star. It's our biggest star. And how all those things relate together. So thanks so much for joining us for our last, as of now, 99th episode of Boredom Busters. The archive, everything will stay live on our website for at least a little while. So do take advantage of that, take a look. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or comments, anything that you'd like us to do in the future. And thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you soon.